Shout out to Footballer's Diary.
Shout out Footballer's Diary.
Greatest asset is
LAFC. So I hope everyone's doing well, recovering from a long week of soccer heaven at the GA Cup. I'm sure by now you know who won, who didn't, who did well, got to experience all the wonderful festivities through Apple TV, Youth Soccer Stars, and Footy Access, and hopefully you got to check out some of the stories from my page, and got to really get a glimpse of what it's like to be there at the best youth tournament in the world. I'll just say that, stand on that. But for those who are under a rock and who didn't know, the U15 tournament was won by Valencia, who played Toulouse from France, Ligue 1 club. And on the U17 side, Philadelphia reigned supreme and put a stamp on their year and on the GA Cup, which was pretty amazing. It was amazing for a few reasons, and just to get the Philly side of things out the way, it is by far my favorite youth team I've ever seen. Just dealing with that much hype and that much attention can be difficult. And these group of boys and this club deal with it so well. They're so tight-knit. Early on, especially in the group stage, they lost to Cincinnati, and everyone was, going crazy and giving Philly a really hard time for losing in the group stage. Anybody watched the game, it was a great game from both sides. Stefan, who we interviewed, had a great game. But one thing I'd like to point out off the bat is for people who don't understand, and other teams deal with this too, but Philly uniquely deals with having to play so many of their kids who have already advanced to second team and playing on the pro field. To change the mindset and go back down, not down meaning, like in a negative connotation, but down meaning, a different team, a different mindset, a different everything is very difficult. So when you're playing on the second team and you're going to a U17 tournament, everything's different. It's and you're also not training with those U17 boys all the time, right? So there's a lack of cohesion you're going to have at first, even though these boys have been playing together a long time. So that group stage, they really built up that momentum and were able to find that cohesion and finish very, very strong. I seen Sullivan last year, and I saved any criticism that I had last year because I wanted to get a bigger sample. And seeing him this year as a 14-year-old kid, people who don't understand or who take soccer from all the nuance to a simple equation of goals and assists really don't understand the brilliance that kid has, and anyone who is critical of him or who thought he had anything less than a phenomenal performance is just misinformed. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone cover that much ground, play that hard, be as explosive and dynamic. He doesn't take a play off. He focuses on defense. You always hear people say when you're talking about a hype player, he doesn't play defense or he thinks he's too good to run. Man, this kid played hard every single play. There was a play in the finals when he went up for a ball and got taken out and landed on his neck or head or something. And this kid got up and, continued to play hard. And there was other people who were critical of him, yelling at his teammates. If you watch him off the ball with his teammates, that whole group is super supportive. There's times in soccer where communication is not always, we're not playing a different sport. Sometimes the attention to detail requires yelling, and that team is. And so so just to wrap up the Sullivan thing, man, he is, as described, he is one of the very top players in the world, at youth players in the world. But the really amazing thing about all this is he is just part of a group of kids who are the very best. Anis, Jameer Johnson, Neil Pierre. I even like the other center back, and I apologize, I forgot his name. But man, that kid's good too. And what's really interesting? We talk about their big three or big four or big five, however you want to look at it. And the who was the MVP, Diego Rosillo. We forget to bring up sometimes, but he is just as talented and explosive as anybody you could name at his position. What a player, what a performance, and really just taking a deserved trophy, or accomplishment rather, from Rosillo. Hats off to that kid, just a warrior on the field. And we were talking about that. He was telling me about that Philly last step, and man, they live by that, and it's really cool. I love that blue collar energy that they have. But I just want to take just a second to acknowledge and to just give a little bit of praise to Jameer Johnson. One of the most creative, exciting players you will watch. There's always people who talk about a size bias in the MLS, and any size bias that you may have, or any excuses that people may make, Jameer Johnson doesn't care about none of that. Jameer Johnson, during the game versus Vancouver, he was on the bench for whatever reason, and this man came on the field with a mission. I look over, and that quickly he scored a goal, and then proceeded to score another one in like a few minutes, and it was just he is amazing. He's just absolutely amazing. He's so exciting to watch. The Philadelphia team is so exciting to watch, and as they say, man, the streets will never forget that Philadelphia U17 team, man. It just we're probably at 3 minutes talking just about them, but they just deserve it, and it was just a remarkable performance by them. One thing that I will say is they all have things to work on, their kids. Neil Pierre, for example, for how amazing he is in the air, how great his headers are, scoring, clearing, just owning the air. As good as that is, he has work to do. I would love to see him be able to bring the ball out of the backfield. I would like to see Sullivan actually be a little more selfish on the ball and take a few more shots. Jameer Johnson, they're kids. They all have things to work on, but all of these boys are absolutely top players. And I guarantee you, in the next 5 years, majority of that team will be somewhere. On the other side of the ball, LA Galaxy, same thing. What a team. Just to show you how stacked that team is. Everyone knows how high I am on the 08 center back Enrique. Their 07 center backs are so deep that he doesn't start all the time, and he has to fight for his minutes. But even he's so good that he was able to find his way onto that field in the finals. Here's what he said.
It's been good. Just been training, and since we at GA Cup right now, we've been like tuning in to the games and stuff. Just trying to catch up.
What's up, man?
It's good. I think the way we play, our play style is different than everyone else, so it's like different, but it's good because we're different. We're saving our energy throughout the games, touching the ball a lot. But yeah, it's good.
So for like being an 08, what is it like being 08 trying to play U17?
As a center back, there's pressure because you're in the back line, and one mistake could cause everything to go down. But I mean, you just gotta deal with it, and one mistake can't really put you down because if that happens, then someone might come and take your spot. So you gotta just deal with the pressure.
And what are you looking forward to, man? What's the future?
Right now, probably just get my starting spot, but maybe in the future, keep working my way up. Next year, probably 17s, trying to get to a second team preseason.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
And so what's that like, as for people who don't know about that, like, you're within a depth chart. So like there's a center back above you at the second team. What's it like trying to find your way up the ladder?
I think that I gotta find their weakness and try and work on that so that their weakness could be my strength, and probably I could work my way up there, trying to like catch up to them.
All right, cool, man. Well, we'll see you again next year.
Yeah,
bro.
see you next year, bro.
Their attack, that they're a very balanced team. LA Galaxy has been producing some really good players, and I tip my hat to them and congratulate them. Okay, transitioning to some different topics. There was a point of concern at the GA Cup where a foreign team, used some slurs, and in return, the New York Red Bulls protested and didn't play both age groups didn't play. And mind you, the U15s were absolutely in position to do well. I just want to just commend them, for doing that. And I'll tell you why. In soccer, even though it's the world sport, it's still very soccer can be very segregated, and it's something that even my own kids, my son's biracial, has dreads. Probably couldn't guess that he's biracial, and the amount of times that kids or even parents have yelled racial slurs at him in a game, without any assistance from the ref or repercussions from a league. It's never happened where he is now, thank God. Just to be clear about that, and it's taken very serious where he is now. But growing up, that has absolutely happened without the refs caring at all, without any, he's cried all the way home, for things like that's happened. And so seeing kids make a decision and kids stepping up to say, hey, we're not going for that. Very cool, and respect, because I know how important these games are, this exposure is. So for anyone who just has any question about the motives, look, you have kids who have the opportunity of a lifetime to be in front of every college scout in the country, TV. It's a huge deal. And to sacrifice that for doing the right thing, it's very impressive. So well done, boys. And soccer is the world's game. So anything that we could do to maintain the integrity of U.S. soccer is super important. Which leads me to the second sad topic, and then I promise we'll get out of the sad topics. But no, just want to take a second to really commend those boys. But the second topic goes back to this. At the GA Cup, we have a international presence, and we have our MLS boys there, right? We have these boys represent not only the MLS but U.S. soccer. When you play for an MLS academy and you're at GA Cup and you're on Apple TV in front of the whole world, you represent U.S. soccer. And there was a game which 95% of what I seen at the GA Cup, and I've been going for years, was top-notch soccer and top-notch boys, right? These boys are successful on and off the field. You have to be, right? Like, these are good kids. But one thing that one thing that did happen, I won't say what game and I won't say who they were playing, and luckily it wasn't a televised game. But I just wanted to just, put this out for kids who are watching and young men who are watching. It's like, look, this international team, we're playing, tough physical soccer, but they were not fouls. It wasn't dirty soccer. It was good, tough soccer. And I think sometimes what happens with U.S. soccer and U.S. soccer culture, you have soccer moms, no offense, or, even soccer dads who just, don't understand what soccer is, and their whole life they're when they see anything physical at all, they get upset and they yell and they disrespect the refs. And there was a game during the GA Cup where a few of the young men on the MLS team were just going crazy about any non-call or what they perceived to be a non-call, throwing a fit when they got a call on them, and just completely disrespecting the referee. And if anything, I do think that their, the international team there, actually, it was a situation where it got so, drawn out that maybe the ref did stop making a few calls that should have been called against, for the international team. The international team didn't complain. They didn't throw their hands up in the air, curse at the ref. And at the end of the game, the international team walked up to the refs, shook their hands, and thanked them. Our boys, the MLS boys, our boys meaning MLS boys, it was no Miami boys, just to be clear. Just completely disrespected the refs and made a fool out of themselves. And I was super disappointed, man. Look, when you go to these things abroad, forget like all the BS, right? When you go to these things abroad, or you go to these things here, and you're representing the MLS, be tough, man. Like, expect and appreciate physical soccer, and don't cry about it. It makes us look bad. Like, I don't want, people think, oh, U.S. soccer, it's, they get touched and they're crying. Look, it's a joke amongst, people that, soccer flops and stuff like that. And I will say the Brazilian teams, that is, they are theatrical, right? But look, not every country's like that. German, French teams are not soft, and they don't play soft. And we shouldn't either. So please, boys, be tough and don't complain and disrespect the referees. These guys have a hard job, man. Cut them a break, man, please. Moving on. Just a shout out, right? Some of the players that caught my eye. This is just who caught my eye. There was tons. These were just a few notes I took. So if I miss anybody, I apologize. There was a lot of good soccer. One of the first years I went, I got to see, I think it was the second year I went, I got to see Kobe Mainu. I got to see Alex, who just went to Man City. And I could tell, you could just tell right then and there that these kids were operating at a different frequency, a different level, and they were special. And obviously, they, now they both are doing special things. So it's evident, right? And some kids who, reminded me of this level of soccer, right? There was a few, right? Nash Dearman from Inter Miami, right back. I'm lucky enough to live here in Miami. I see him play sometimes, but he was particularly impressive in the GA Cup. I mean, one-on-one defending, lockdown, technical, fast, aggressive, beautiful. RJ White, center back from Inter Miami. Same thing, man. Great performance, big kid, but turns his hips well, athlete, good touch, good player. My favorite goalkeeper in the tournament was Lotulala, excuse me if I mess it up. The Arsenal goalkeeper. I mean, he's already famous, so people know he's good, but, shout out to him. I was a little disappointed when Atlanta United played Man United. Everybody gave the midfielder all the love, and I mean, fair enough, he had a good game, but you can't tell me anybody had a better game than Amir Henry and Covington. Those two boys were just phenomenal players, man. Just, swaggy on the ball, creative, just a joy to watch. And they ended up losing against Inter, I think. But what a great team, and what a excite. People say that modern soccer is getting boring. Man, not if you watched that Atlanta team, or Philadelphia Union or Inter Miami. There was some teams playing some exciting, beautiful soccer. It was great. And that kid Covington, we're lucky. We talked to him, and I'll post that. Man, what an awesome kid! Great personality, great player, just an awesome kid. So they didn't get the love they should have gotten Apple TV, but you guys were my players in the match. Internationally, Jose Garrafa, wow, special. And all these boys are U15, by the way. Jose Garrafa was special. Man, I got those, those glimpses of that pro level frequency. I don't know how to explain it, but there's a frequency level that pro players play at least good ones. And he had it, man. Really good player. Amadou Conte from Valencia, good player, man. Great job. Really, really good. My personal two favorite players for two different reasons. Marley Salmon, the number 4 center back from Arsenal. He's one of those modern center backs, not super tall, but the kid was locked down one-on-one, changed directions extremely fast, just took control of the center of the field. Good long ball, great passer, aggressive, just a phenomenal player, man. Great, hats off to you, bro. I would love to talk to this kid. Really, really good. Number 4 from Arsenal. And then my last U15 player I marked to talk about was Tim Dennis. Again, we talked to this young man. I'll tell you why I was so like this kid so much. Minnesota didn't do well, and they were competitive. They fought hard in the games, but they didn't win, right? So it's hard when you're not winning. But this kid Tim Dennis, while losing, was just fighting for every ball, technical, both feet, fast, exciting, really super creative and quick and tricky. Just a complete attacking player. I'm telling you, this kid is, everybody we named, he's of that cloth. He's there. It's tough when but to have that in the midst of adversity, right? And dealing with losing and still fighting and being, looking for those opportunities was impressive. And the team is good. There's some good pieces on that team. It's a team that I could see by U17 really putting a team together and doing well. The left back was good. There was several different kids on the team that I'm like, oh, there's potential here, and they're a good team. So shout out to Minnesota. I think in the next few years they will have a team, and I think they have the pieces there. There's some good players on that Minnesota team. So shout out to Minnesota. Shout out to Tim Dennis. I already gave you my U17, pretty much the whole Philadelphia Union roster. But, man, it's just so cool to see, a diverse team like Philadelphia Union representing for MLS soccer. So everybody there outside of Philadelphia Union, Tyler Austin from Inter Miami, another right back. Man, I'm telling you, at the U17 level, I don't know why he's not just listed and posted everywhere. He's my favorite U17 right back in the country. He's really good. He's a dog on defense. He's super fast. Breakaway speed. Great passer. Dangerous in the final third. Man, check this kid out. Really good. And also U17 category, you have Ademar Chavez, who we interviewed a few years ago. man, just really progressing and doing well. Really proud of him. I didn't have a chance to talk to him while he was there, but really great player. There's a few duos that I thought were really, really good. Orlando City has a two-striker duo that it's really exciting, really fun to watch. You have Justin Ellis and Theo Franca. Theo Franca, who we also are going to have on the podcast in a little bit, he's joining us to talk about his experience and just kind of catch up with him. Theo Franca was a phenomenal athlete, Brazilian. He
more tune for your head top, so watch how you speak out my name, you know?
Was ridiculous. So on top of him being a big boy, his vertical was crazy. Great top speed, pressed the whole game, had both feet. So even though Orlando didn't win, they have this really exciting striker duo. The center back was really good too. I apologize, I forgot his name, from Orlando City. But Orlando City had, and then a couple players we've already covered, but just to mention them for the duos, Covington and Henry from Atlanta United U15. And then the U17 duo that made a big splash, Stefan and Justin Hilton, which they also had a third player there. It was the striker from Hoffenheim, Germany. Really exciting. So yeah, those were my duos. A good team. Everyone knows the midfield is good there also. Didn't have the results they wanted, but man, really cool duo there. As I said, Tyler from Inter, but he has a nice little duo on the right side too with Pinter. That Tyler Pinto combo is nasty, so that was cool to see. So all in all, man, there were some great players. I personally enjoyed the U15. Last year I enjoyed the U17 more. This year I enjoyed the U15 more. The U15 was very exciting to watch. And that brings me to my next topic, which was the Canadian teams. Toronto absolutely should have been in the final. They had the semifinal versus Toulouse. Every year I go, I am so impressed with the Canadian teams. Now I'm a little bit, it's a little bit close to home, close to heart. How you say it? Close to heart. But either way, man, I know. All jokes aside, the Canadian teams have been super impressive to me. Montreal is on top of being a diverse team that plays, for U17, for example, they have an 08-07 pretty balanced roster, which means they take development seriously. They're exciting. They play the game the right way. Vancouver, for anybody who didn't watch the Vancouver game, the score might have said, "Oh yeah, Philly kicked their butt" or whatever, but you might say, "Oh, Philly, dominated the game." They didn't. It was a close game. Vancouver was excellent. They played really hard, especially in the first half. And then Toronto at every single age group is good. Man, I don't know what kind of, obviously there's a lot of Caribbean influence in Toronto and in Montreal actually. But man, I am so impressed with Canadian soccer. Obviously their national team is doing well, has been doing well over the last decade, but the youth system that they have in Canada, it has to be good, because the players and teams that they're bringing to GA Cup and MLS Fest and MLS Playoff, man, it's so impressive, and I'm so happy to see Canadian soccer doing so well. This really, again, hats off to Canadian soccer. You guys definitely represented for the country and for soccer. As a quick wrap up, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how, there was this, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I meant to do the research on it. I just didn't have time, and I wanted to make sure this got out this week. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. People mentioned that, Man United, that was not, they were playing with younger boys. In England, do they do school year or birth year? It's something I was wondering, because if that was the case, cause somebody was saying in the crowd, a lot of their U15s couldn't come because, in the U.S. they were U16. So I was, obviously overhearing this, thinking, okay, well, are they saying because they're school year? And if that's the case, that's interesting. Um, so just wanted to check on that. If anybody knows, drop in the comment for me, because I'm interested, and stuff on youth soccer sometimes hard to research. But overall, man, every year I go, I just leave thinking that U.S. soccer is in such a good place. I'm telling you, I just, if we could get some infrastructure help with having futsal courts for kids to play on for free, for just simply having goals to shoot on at a park. I live in Miami, and I'm telling you, to find a goal to shoot on that's not locked up and turned around and you got to shoot on the back of it, it's so hard. So yeah, we have one of the best youth tournament. We have one of, if not the best youth tournament in the world, but we have parks where kids cannot play soccer for free. It's hard enough to play soccer in the U.S. because of financial difficulties, but to make it even harder that kids can't practice or play. There's very little places for kids to play in a lot of cities in this country. U.S. is huge, so I won't give a blanket statement, but in Miami, there's very few parks for kids to play. I've been to other places where it's better. In Pennsylvania, there was parks kids could play, but still, there's a lot of restrictions. There's a lot of subpar conditions for kids to play on, and it just makes it really hard, man. And I just know if we can get a little help with infrastructure, if we can get some futsal courts for kids to play on for free, so we can add that pickup portion, because kids play soccer here, man, and we're good at it, but we just need a little help. And every year I go, I leave thinking like, man, we can compete with anybody in the world. So what happens when our kids get a little older? Well, it's pretty clear to me that infrastructure is an issue. It's pretty clear to me that, financially it's too expensive to play soccer here. But if you look at our best kids, if you look at some of our best kids, at these MLS academies, when we play other big academies, we always do well, and it makes me super proud. Any kid was there, I'm sure you left feeling like I'm pretty close, and you are close, so keep going. So actually, our editor let us know that Theo is he's on, so gonna get Theo on here in just 1 second, and he's gonna tell us. Theo Franca is gonna tell us about his experience and tell us a little bit about himself, and so we'll see. We're happy to have him on, so let's check it out. Man, let's welcome Theo Franca. He's joining us fresh from the GA Cup. We really appreciate you getting on with us and telling us your story and a little bit about the GA Cup experience.
So guys, this is Theo Franca, straight from Orlando City. It's a pleasure to be here. I feel like GA Cup was as most people would say, a fun, really, really good experience. But especially for me, I feel like GA Cup was a tournament to show me where my level is right now, because of most international teams coming in, some MLS teams that we've never played before. So I feel like it showed me a lot, and I feel like it was a positive GA Cup, because for most games I feel like my level was with the teams or not higher than the teams. So I feel like it was a very good GA Cup.
That makes a lot of sense, man. That's a great way to kind of look at those type of high-level events. Can you tell us a little bit about your time with Orlando City? How'd you get started with them?
I've been in the academy right now for about 3 years. It's my third year. I joined from a club called Idea Sports down in Orlando. Shout out Idea Sports. But I remember my first call up was when I was 11 years old, and my parents, which I didn't even know about, my parents rejected it. They said I wasn't ready yet. And I remember I was playing at Ronaldo Academy at that time. I was like a really big guy. I was like 11, standing at 5'8". Like, I've always been very tall. So I feel like that's one thing that stood out the most. But as I turned 13 on my 13th birthday, we had a scrimmage versus Orlando, and we lost 8-0. So the next day, they called me again, and then this time our parents were like, "Yeah, I think it's time." So I went, made a 1 week trial, and boom, I made the team automatically. So starting from the first season, everything went great. Second season was kind of my pop out season, I think so, with the U15s. I got called up for the second team at that age. I was like the youngest one for the second team, and ever since then, it's been going smooth.
Yeah, I seen that, and that's when I started to pay attention, man. And you're a really like dynamic, forward. Where do you where does that come from? Like,
Um, so none of my parents like played soccer ever. My dad wasn't really into soccer much, but he always knew a lot about soccer. Like, he had very good soccer knowledge. So I noticed that ever since I was little, like I said, I was above average in height, and but there was always like I always loved doing everything. I was very adventurous, athletic, everything I did. So ever since I was little, I think it was just born with. I was just born with it. If I see a tree, I'd go and climb a tree, jump over the like jump. So so I feel like my two biggest aspects of the game are my speed, my vertical. So I feel like especially in this GA Cup, I scored two headers. So I feel like it was basically I was born with it, I'd say.
no, no, yeah, no, you're definitely super athletic, but you're definitely, on top of being athletic, usually when you see kids who are big, like really quick, sometimes they don't develop technically. You're
Mhm.
really, a very balanced player technically. Do you think that came from? Did that develop in Orlando City? Or did you grow up playing futsal? What were some of the other things you did for training?
I think for sure Orlando City played a big part in it because my playing style when I joined was completely different. I joined I've always been a striker, but for some reason when I joined, they first put me as a right winger. So
Hmm.
that's when I kind of had to develop my technical ability a little bit more. But I remember our striker got injured, and I hopped in for striker for the next 4 games, and I scored 5 goals. So
Wow.
that's when they kind of like put me, yeah, that's when they kind of put me over in the striker position. But for sure, like before Orlando City, I don't remember being this technical. So I feel like Orlando City played a really big part.
Yeah, so that's something we've been hearing a lot about Orlando City, that they're definitely developing players opposed to teams, which is awesome. But taking it back a little bit,
Hmm.
man. Background, you're Brazilian, right?
No, I was born in Belo Horizonte, Brazil, a couple hours from São Paulo,
Okay.
and I moved over here when I was 9 years old. So when I was in Brazil, I didn't really play for a club or anything. I was just playing for fun, like just like most other kids, like in the streets and everything. So, but when I moved here, that's when I really started taking soccer more seriously. I started joining the little club, Orlando City, and then moving on to different levels.
So for people who don't know, Orlando as a city has a fairly big Brazilian community, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
what's it like being playing for Orlando City as a young Brazilian American kid?
man,
Do you feel like that's like
I
part of
feel
the
like
culture there? Like that Brazilian is like like is there?
yeah, man, it's great. When I tell you Orlando is basically a Brazil itself, I'm
Yeah.
not even joking. Every corner you walk in, there's a Brazilian. So it's great. I remember the day I made my debut, and I didn't really post. I just reposted one picture on social media, and then the next day I was walking on the street, and there was a couple Brazilian kids shouting out, "Oh, that's still Franca over there." And for the Brazilian culture, I feel like I'm kind of an example, which I love to little kids. I've had little kids come up to me asking me, like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I just love that, because when I was little, I was also one of them. So, I, especially if you're playing for Orlando City here in Orlando, it's a big thing because there's over 1,000 clubs over here, and they all want to make it to that one little Orlando City. So I feel like it's great, and I have to take it. I can't take it for granted.
No, that's awesome, man. Who's some of your like inspiration for as a player?
Oh, for sure, Cristiano Ronaldo. Ever since I was little, only Cristiano Ronaldo. I've liked Neymar. I like Neymar, but my game style kind of I just love the way Cristiano Ronaldo plays.
Yeah. And so, what do you think was like the going through the academy? a lot of people don't realize. So very few players make it to an MLS academy. Um, if you were to pick like one thing that was able to separate you from other players, what do you think that was?
I feel like my killer mentality is what stands out a little bit more. Whenever there's a chance 1v1 against a player or a keeper, I always find the best option. I always put it away, shoot it on goal. My 1v1 ability, I think, is very powerful as well. So I feel like my killer mentality is one of the things that stands out the most.
No, I love that answer, man. So I think a lot of people kind of sleep on how much, like, you could practice all you want to, but if you don't have the mentality or like, that like
Hmm.
little, thing in the back of your mind, like, yeah, I'm gonna be confident, I'm gonna beat this player. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no.
Man, that's awesome, man. I really think that's super important, especially as a striker. Like somebody told me one time, the two positions where you have to be like a little, overconfident or cocky or even crazy is goalkeeper and striker. You know?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, man. So now that you're in Orlando City, and you're on one of the country's like best teams, you have a crazy striker duo with Ellis. What's it like being on a team with that much eyes on you and that much talent?
Uh, Man, it's great. Ellis is outside of the field. Ellis is one of my best friends as well. So me and him have like our communication in the game. I feel like works a lot. There's sometimes during games where I feel like coach can play us in a different position because I feel like Ellis is very talented on the ball for sure. One of the most technical players on the team. And I remember where there's games that he plays as a number 10 and I play as a number 9. We always kill the opponent. So but our team, our team we're a very young team, very a lot of 08s. But with the talent that we have, I think we're probably one of the most talented teams in the nation for sure.
No, I agree, man, and I've been lucky enough to see you guys play live a few times. Um, So getting into the GA Cup, man, how was the experience as far as the games you were actually in? Definitely didn't go the way you wanted to, but I definitely think you guys, put on, a good show and were able to kind of showcase yourselves a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. Going into the GA Cup, we just had the mentality to win it all. I'm pretty sure every team was coming in that way. But for us, after the first game, we were kind of a little bit confident. We should have put in 1 or 2 goals maybe against Monterrey. Ended up in 0-0. Went to penalties, beat them. And then second game, it just had a complete turnaround. Red Bulls got the best of us. They're a very good team. Got to give it up for Red Bulls. And they beat us. A lot of things happened. Own goal for our team. Just everything just went downhill. And then third game, our mentality was just all the way down. We were down from that game. So I think Galaxy also took the best of us. And I mean, Galaxy, as you've seen, they were in the final versus Philly. So they're a great team for sure. And but after that, I feel like after that part, after we got knocked out of group, then those rest of the games, I think like we took it not really. We didn't have much pressure, so I think that allowed us to play our game. So that's why after we got knocked out, we started winning some games, and yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like that can happen, and it's such a quick, 60-minute game. If you don't start off, you know, hot, it could
Hmm.
go it could go the other way. But no, man, you guys were super
Yeah.
impressive though. When you're at that type of tournament and you have every team in the country and then international teams, um, does that you like you mentioned, you are able to gauge yourself. Were you surprised? Like, I've been going to J Cup for 5 years, and I'm every year I'm proud and happy to see our teams competing so well internationally. Do you see any real difference between the MLS teams and the international teams?
Oh, for sure. Especially when we were playing, we played 2 international teams. We played Monterrey and we played Atlas. And the difference between, I feel like the big difference between the MLS and the international team was just the physicality. You can see that from the teams in Monterrey, they don't have really. built players, strongly physical players like us, like in the MLS. But
Hmm.
man, there's some dirty play. I feel like their game plans are like to get into our heads from the first minute. Like
Yeah.
against Monterrey, their first play was stepping on our cleats, like giving us a little elbow in the rib. So they definitely have like I was saying, a killer mindset.
Hmm.
But other than that, I think technically we're there. We're over them. Physically, we're like they weren't expecting MLS teams to go like that. I think they were expecting us to just be technical. But we definitely showed them on the physical side. But other than that, there are some very fast players as well. So Atlas Monterrey had one of the fastest players I've seen in a tournament. So other than
Really?
that, that's yeah, that's one of the differences.
Was there even like other teams that you've seen, like 'cause, yeah, I'm sure you watched quite a few games. Was there any teams that like impressed you, like that you were like, wow, that's they're doing something different?
Yeah, there's two. There's one for the 17 side, which for me was Galaxy. I feel like their game plan was they're very smart. They're a very smart team. They have a lot of individual players as well. Like when we were playing against them, we were getting beat almost every single time on their third. So I feel like whatever game plan they had, I don't know what it was, but it was definitely working. I mean, they made it all the way to the finals. But another team was the Valencia for U15s. I feel like that was probably one of the best teams in the tournament for sure.
Yeah, what's interesting is like you get to see all these different styles,
Uh
and
huh.
the one thing I kind of like about the MLS, I think we're starting to become like a balanced style. Like one thing I see with
Yeah.
France, like when you watch France play, they're more balanced. Where you have like, Spain's tiki taka, right, and Germany's very
Mm.
like mechanic, and but France is a bit more balanced, like it's a bit more like flair with tiki taka with and that's how I
Yeah.
start to see the MLS looking like, we it's not all long ball, it's not all tiki taka, it's like a balanced style. Do you
Yeah.
think
Uh huh.
do you agree with that, or what do you think the style is in the MLS?
I agree with that 100%. I feel like every single team in the MLS has a different play style. Um, our play style mostly for J Cup, we started off play some, as you say, some tiki taka, and depending how the game goes towards the end, we start sending them some long balls because obviously I think we have a big advantage. When it was me and Justin Ellis up top, two big guys, so I feel like after we started sending some long balls, we would see more opportunities and goal because of our physical advantage.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like I was really surprised how you have a great motor, and you pressing the whole game, along with just fighting for every ball. It created like a different like look on the field, because it was like, even if you were not in the position to score in a game, you were, you were creating a lot of havoc on defense and opportunities for the players around you. Um, do you feel like as a player, like we seen that with Sullivan, right? Like people kind of were giving him a hard time. Oh, he didn't score, he didn't assist in certain games. But it's like, bro, this kid was everywhere. And the same thing with you. Do people underestimate that as a part of someone's game?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most underestimated things in soccer right now, because they can look at I think most people just look at the stats line, like oh 0-0, no one scored, this team doesn't score. But I feel like there's some games where it's gonna be dirty, it's gonna be an ugly game. So sometimes I'm not gonna be there to score, but maybe there's another teammate around me that is. So that's for me. All that matters is obviously I want to score. I'm a striker,
Right,
but
right.
if if there's a other teammate next to me that has a better opportunity than me, he's getting the ball. So basically, I mean, pressing, I've always been a very good defensive player. I've always been, if I see a center back going down the line, I'm going there to kill him, to get the ball, obviously. But for me,
Love
pressing,
that.
defending is one of my big attributes as well. But when we win the ball, that's just Orlando City. Our play style is just win the ball, play them through, and we just kill them in the final third. Unfortunately, it didn't happen in the first couple games, but after we got used to it, and then after those, we started doing it many times to teams.
No, it's hard, man. With the 60-minute game, 30-minute halves. Was that your first GA Cup, or did you go in U15?
No, this is actually my third GA Cup. I went,
Wow.
yeah, I went last year, play as a '07 with the '06s for the U17s. We made it to the Final Four. And 3 years ago with U15, which was the year that kind of was my best year, and we got knocked out of group stage.
That's crazy. So, and what's really crazy, I keep hearing talks about it. I don't know if it's official yet or what, but that the MLS might be switching to U18 next year. So possibly you might get to go to another GA Cup. So what's some of your goals for the future, man?
Uh, I think my big goal for the future is just to become a professional soccer player. Um, you know, every player has a different goal. Some people want to go to college, go D1, overseas. I feel like for me, the main goal is just, the big clubs, Like ever since I was little, I've always wanted to go to Real Madrid. So maybe one day that's my dream club.
No, I love that. And I think the MLS is such a great league to allow to allow you to develop at a high level. Where you could
Uh-huh.
stay in the MLS for a few for quite a while, and then make that jump to like you're saying, like overseas. What have you seen? Because you've been here for a while and you got to see the academy grow. W- what is the what is your opinion on the MLS where it's at right now? Obviously, having Messi being on the other side, but still having a player like Messi in the league and bringing even other big players into the league now, where you're starting to see a lot of eyes on the MLS. What's it like being a part of that excitement, and your thoughts on that?
Man, it's great. I feel like every academy player is just as excited as a first team player right now because you never know when you get called up for the first team. There's players that train with the first team every week. Like I get called up to the first team to train with them a lot, and you never know when you get your chance because maybe, Orlando plays into Miami and they don't have enough players on the roster for some reason, and they call up an academy player. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunities going on for especially for Orlando, but as as long as the MLS, I feel like MLS is getting to one of the top leagues right now because of how many just players that are coming in, how the competition has gotten way better than before. I remember some MLS games I wouldn't be able to watch it. So now it gets me on my feet. So some games really do get me on my feet. So I feel like MLS has gotten really big time now. So yeah.
Yeah. One thing that's also really cool at the GA Cup is, and like you said, everyone has their own route, own path. And one thing that I've seen like this become an amazing platform and really high level is D1 soccer. If you watch those games, they are really impressive. And if you didn't know any better, you would think that you're watching a top league. Um, what's it like having all for those players that are looking for that path, having a platform like GA Cup where you have literally every single college in the country watching?
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like my teammates, most of them do want to go to college. So especially before games, like we just not really joke around with them, but be like, hey, this is your time, because we point at them, we show them that like there's I see every single scout there. So for me during the game, I don't really pay attention to that. For me, I just zone out. I don't know what's outside of the game. I just focus in the game. But for the fact that having almost every single college at J Cup, I feel like it's a big, really big opportunity for other players to show what they have. Because maybe that might be, their last tournament there. So I feel like if you perform in J Cup, there for sure will be a couple colleges going at you like the week after.
I know, man. It's like a good game at GA Cup could change your life. We had
Yeah.
Fritz Volmar on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he was saying like he had Before the GA Cup, he had a few offers, but after the GA Cup, he had like 30 offers to D1 college.
Yeah,
You know, when you have that type of,
it's crazy.
a tournament that has that type of impact is crazy. Yeah, man.
Oh yeah,
So
it is.
I meant to ask you this about GA Cup. Um, in terms of tournaments like GA Cup, MLS Fest, MLS playoffs, what makes GA Cup so special?
Man, for me, besides obviously the playoffs, J Cup is my favorite tournament, like by a mile, because I feel like just the experience, not only on the field but off the field with your team, 10 days, so it was a great experience. Like just the feeling of, you're far from your parents for a while, for 10 days, and that's really just a team to team moment, to some team bonding, after games. The We kind of really got to see how hard it is, because after every game we'd have to go recovery, rest, and then another one. Especially because the first 3 games was 3 games in a row. So for us, it was just like I was kind of used to it since it was my third J Cup, but I did see that there's some players on our team that it was their first J Cup. So it was nice having to instruct them a little bit, give them a little details on how it is. Also seeing how the 15s do. Our 15s got knocked out by Valencia, so that's a bummer for them. But just watching our 15s, watching other games in a hotel, it's just a really fun experience. That's why I think all of us really love Jacob.
Yeah, man. There was like moments like when the U15s are watching, and then like the U17s like score something, and they celebrate together. It's just like the best like moments in those games. And I was happy because
Yeah,
they had a lot of security there who weren't familiar with soccer, and I seen people from the J Cup were like, no, no, let them celebrate together because that's like it's part of the culture, right? It's like part of the whole
yeah,
what makes the
uh
J
huh.
Cup.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun for sure.
So what's next for you, bro? How do you feel like what's gonna take you to the next level, man?
I feel like right now, just keep working. Obviously, there's a bunch of things I can still work on. But we get back in training in 2 days, and that was just a focus for MLS Flex, because our position in the league right now, I think we're in second place. So we kind of do need to take this MLS Flex very seriously if we want to go to playoffs. So my goal right now is just get ready, have a good MLS Flex, recover, because on the second to last game, there was a play where I kind of not tore, but I rolled my ankle, so they thought it was very serious, so they had to take me to the hospital. But turns out it wasn't that serious. So I'm doing good now, just walking. But just recover, get ready for flex, and then after that, I'm confident that we have a chance to winning playoffs. So just working on that.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, man. And I just want to say before we get off, bro, I really love your game. I love how hard you play. There's some forwards who they save their energy for when they get the ball, and I don't see you take a play off at all. You go hard the whole game. I think you're dynamic, explosive. There was a play. Actually, I think it was versus New York, where you went up for a header, and you didn't score, but the vertical was unreal, bro. It was like it looked like you could dunk, bro. It was crazy. Like it was really impressive, man. So I just want to say I'm a big fan. I wish you the best, bro, and keep doing what you're doing.
Hey man, appreciate it. That means a lot, man. I was glad to see you out there after the second game. After I saw you, I was very happy. I've been texting you on social media. Man, you're such a humble guy, such a humble community, and I just keep doing what you're doing, because for players like us, this is like it's a pleasure doing this. Getting ready for the future, hopefully for many other interviews to come. So this is like a blessing talking to you right now. So appreciate it.
No, absolutely, man, absolutely. And so what?